Hello, my name's James Hunter, and today I'm going to talk about, managing stress and anxiety right now, this time of the year, when it comes to what we consume as far as, from television, social media, the news, advertisements, and so on. It's a political season. There's a election coming up November, right, for President of the United States of America every 4 years. So this is for me, is a interesting over the years as I've gotten older to observe people's behaviors, how their behavior is influenced by political seasons, particular to the election for president and these 4 year cycles or every 4 years. And such as being at the gym in the morning, waiting to go work out at 5 o'clock in the morning, just listening to people in the lobby comment, I'll be glad when the year's over, right? All this stress on TV and all this jazz, right? So as they say, all this jazz. So my thoughts are this. In my other videos, I have a few videos on here where I talk about the peripheral route to persuasion and the central route to persuasion. These are two different methods by which to try to persuade or influence people's behaviors. Typically with marketing, advertisement, things like that, you're going to see a lot of the peripheral route to persuasion, which is essentially you're trying to influence people's emotions and feelings to influence their behavior, to persuade them in terms of making a decision that's favorable to the outcome that you desire. Whether you're a politician, you're trying to sell a product, etc. You see this on the news as well, sensationalism. You could even say fear-based approaches. Yes, I said that, fear-based, absolutely, that does exist. If you think that is not by design, well, I would, nicely say you're a bit naive. So they do use fear to influence people. So this also plays into people's anxieties, because our anxiety, in a sense, essentially has to do with when we anticipate something potentially could go bad in the future, potential threats. So this is promoted out there on the news, potential bad things that are going to happen. Politicians slamming the other one for, if you vote for this person, this is what's going to happen, doom and gloom, etc. So things like social issues are exploited and used to evoke emotional responses. I get a text message, for example, from a person, saying how they lost their legs for their country. I can appreciate people who are veterans, respect veterans who have served our countries and unfortunately have succumbed to a serious injuries and have disabilities as a result of that. And the thing is, I know veterans that are both Democrats and or Republicans, right? So I know people who have served the country who are veterans of foreign wars, and they do have some extent to some injuries, whether physical or mental health type of PTSD situations. And not all across the board exactly are the same, that they just by default endorse one persuasion or the other in terms of their politics. So when I see stuff like this is the peripheral route, because they're just trying to evoke the feeling of sympathy or guilt or fear, even, in order to persuade me to vote a particular direction. Now, the central route would be, yes, there are things that exist, such as veterans who serve the country, who are going to different wars and where they've been injured. That's part of a context within a bigger picture perspective. There's also other things such as social issues. There's things such as the economy. There's things such as healthcare. There's much more, involved here. It's not just one issue only. But some people do vote because they're a one issue type of voter, right? One issue alone, such as pro-life or pro-choice, right? The abortion issue. Some people vote simply based on that, right? What does the candidate stand on, pro-life or pro-choice? And so they'll vote in that direction, one or the other. So politicians understand this, and they understand a certain percentage of the population is just going to be voting based on how they have a feeling, an emotion about a particular issue. So for example, here in Texas, I believe it's for Senate, Ted Cruz is running for re-election. I think his opponent is Alred or something like that. So I've gotten text messages from both of these campaigns, if you will, that are trying to influence my vote. On television, you see the various commercials. So if Ted Cruz's campaign, they will say things like his opponent's going to allow boys to wrestle in women's sports, right? So they kind of focus on the social issues in terms of this, I guess, transgenderism, or just men identifying as a female, so now they can run track and field, or like the Olympics, right? Boxing and so on. Now that whole issue by itself, a lot of people have opinions about that, for sure, strong feelings, and I can respect and understand that. So me personally, that would be something maybe, yeah, I could see the practical reason why you don't want someone who's born with the physiology of a male to go in and compete against a woman who by design has physical disadvantages, right? So yeah, I can definitely see the reasoning behind that. So you got that social issue. You have other things like transgender or transition surgeries being paid for. So Ted Cruz campaign is going to say, my opponent endorses all these things, right? So it's social issue driven, and then people who have feelings about that. So his opponent is doing similar things. He's talking about, well, who does Ted Cruz care about? Himself. And it shows a picture of Ted Cruz at the airport wearing the mask over his face during the pandemic, right? And maybe also it was the freeze. We had that cold snap in Texas. The whole power grid is out. People are freezing their asses off. So they showed Ted Cruz at the airport. He's getting the hell out of Dodge, right? He's going to go to Mexico or somewhere on a vacation with his family. Apparently, he kind of walks that back and says, well, no, my family had this vacation planned. And I was just making sure they got to the airport, and I planned on staying the whole time, right? To stick it out with everybody freezing their ass off in Texas. So these are plays on emotions, and people might be influenced by that and then compelled to say, hey, screw that guy. I'm going to vote for the other person now. Now, the central route would be a much bigger picture context approach, right? What's the perspective within all the issues? What are your values, right? What's your situation? Maybe what type of a job do you have? What is your economical situation? And yes, even to an extent, what are your values that you would hope to be promoted? So all these things, which in a much bigger picture perspective, you might look at one candidate versus the others and make a decision, right? If I vote for candidate A versus candidate B, in which situation or scenarios do the benefits I believe I will get as a result of voting for this candidate, benefits for myself, to society, where it outweighs perhaps the risk or negatives, the things that I do not want promoted, right? You're not going to get a perfect situation, right? Or it's going to be perfect on either side. So within a bigger picture perspective, using a central route, fact check, and looking at historical evidence of voting records, who are the donors, special interests, right? Ted Cruz, I think his wife worked for Goldman Sachs or something like that, and he got called out on that. He's talking about how he's not part of the establishment, etc. So big picture perspective way of approach, using a central route based on information and not so much just pure emotional based. Even if it's a candidate, maybe you do not like their personality, shoot, you might not even like some of the mistakes they've made in their personal life. However, in terms of how they execute and perform as a politician, a legislator, etc., if you can agree with that, then the central route, you would make a decision to vote for that candidate, not necessarily just the emotional reasoning. All right, so let me hit something else here real quick. Like, there's so many things you can say about voting and why people vote. I mean, I could do a video for 5 hours on that. Now, here's my thoughts and beliefs as someone who's 53 years old, going on 54, right? So as measured by mankind, in my mind, I'm 25 forever. So, okay, what's another way to look at this? Here's my thoughts on it. Yes, I have voted throughout my life. I've been through the different election cycles. I've seen everything recycled every 4 years. It's the same stuff. Scare people that they're going to lose Social Security. So this is a fear-based approach to get people to vote. So invoking or promoting anxiety. Yeah, that's right. If you vote for this person, they're going to steal your Social Security and Medicare. So there's that issue. Of course, other issues are pro-life, pro-choice, getting involved with foreign affairs or wars around the country, foreign policy. So the same things, boom, 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 recycled every 4 years. You will not see too much drastically things done during a presidency to really significantly, permanently change things. Why would you want to eliminate completely the problems that are part of what helps you continue to be elected? Wouldn't seem reasonable, right? If you are relying on these type of strategies. So here's my thought. So here's pretty much the way I've approached elections. Probably is early as my late 30s, early 40s. My thoughts are this: whether it's Donald Trump, Kamala, whether it was, well, Biden's still the president, or supposedly is, right? Weekend at Bernie's, haha. So, okay, whoever the freaking president is, I get it. Yeah, there can be certain types of implications and possible consequences. But at the end of the day, here's my radical acceptance. My radical acceptance is this: I may not always agree who is a president, who is the president of the United States, in terms of my personal preferences and or persuasions, which will be a function of my values, personality, etc. I may prefer someone different in there sometimes. But at the end of the day, I do not need a particular person to be the president of the United States in order for me to take responsibility to promote the values I want to live my life by. That's on me. That's not on who's the president. It's not on who's the senator or congressperson of your state. Hell, it's not even up to who's the mayor of your city if you want to come down to local politics. It's your responsibility. It lies on yourself in terms of the life you want to live your life by. You do the best you can within the system you have to promote the values you want to live your life by. So if you're pro-life, pro-choice, if you are someone who is big government, small government, all these things, I get it. I can appreciate that, and I can respect how you have strong feelings about these things. But at the end of the day, you have to focus on what are your available options within the system you have, and then it's up to you to behave in a way that's going to promote the values you want to live your life by. And that might be meaning having different types of boundaries, considering the decisions you make, delay of gratification, etc., etc. You're going to have to modify and adjust yourself within the system you live in, because ultimately it's you alone represent the thing that you have the most control over in terms of how you're going to interpret things, focus on options, and what feelings you can consider, because your feelings and emotions can influence behavior. And the problem with that is that emotions and feelings are not always based on the most rational way to interpret life, such as people see things as black or white. There's no shades of gray. Who ends up being the president of the United States has absolutely nothing to do with how I choose to treat other people. Who ends up being the president of the United States has absolutely nothing to do with regards to whether I want to behave in a way that shows that I'm a considerate human being of other people that I live around with in my neighborhood. Who's the president of the United States has nothing to do with regards to whether I want to show compassion. I do understand there's things such as civil liberties, individual rights, and other things that could be at stake and so on. So I would encourage you to fact check things. I have seen some political advertisements that are blatantly lying and misleading about certain issues in terms of how they represent the other candidate. And if you fact check it, it's simply not true. So that's done to evoke powerful emotional responses in people, outrage or anger. So now I'm going to vote for the other person. So fact check things, very, very important. Not everything you see in a political advertisement is true. There'll be some elements of truth in it, but there'll be some elements in it that are blatantly false. So just pay attention, fact check things, make your own decisions for yourself, the central route. So I could say a lot more different things about this. So what I want to say is that what I think is important, if you are finding yourself very anxious, feeling stressed out, then you have to manage how you consume information. My observation is this: you're not going to persuade too many people in terms of a substantial percentage of people and how they're going to vote based on political commercials, debates, arguing with people at the water cooler at work or at lunchtime on your break. Most people, to the extent if they will make a decision to change their mind, it's within a process over time. Their values might change, their priorities may change as a process over time, and it's because they themselves will see the value in perhaps considering a different way to look at life. Yeah, maybe some people planted some seeds along the way that contributed to that, but not often are you going to see somebody immediately after a debate or an argument say, you know what, you're right, I changed my mind. It doesn't happen too often, right? So my thoughts are this, is that most people, including yourself, if you're watching this video, you already know who you're going to vote for, whether it's going to be Donald Trump, Kamala Harris. You already know who you're voting for your state elections, a local. So how productive or helpful is it to make it a point to watch every political commercial, watch CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, whichever major network, every YouTube video that's about sensationalizing these issues to evoke feelings and emotions for views, clicks, and you know, for people who monetize their channels on YouTube, yeah, they're just trying to get views and clicks. So they will use the peripheral route. They'll have a thumbnail, political candidate with a funny or outrageous facial expression, and then some catchy phrase that gets you to click on the video. So how much of that do you need? What's the point? Are you just trying to piss yourself off even more? Feeding into this behaviors, right? So my thoughts are boundaries, rules, and limits. I don't watch the freaking news very much, to be honest with you, especially local news, even national, well, all of it, quite frankly. It all has a simpler playbook that it operates off of. So pharmaceutical drug commercials, right? You need to be afraid that you have these symptoms or these diseases. You better go talk to your doctor. By the way, here's the 20 side effects that could screw you up if you take the medication. Mind you, they're playing very soft, nice music to these drug commercials while they're playing this, right? It's a whole other conversation. So you're going to get some drug commercials, what you need to be afraid of that you're sick with, something bad happened in the Middle East, here locally, natural disasters, everything. So I don't watch it for that reason. If I want to know what the freaking weather is, there's weather apps for that. I know what the weather's going to be like. And if I want to read certain things, sure, I can read. So I limit how much I consume during the week. And I might get some information from what I would say that are more neutral or diplomatic in how they speak about the news that's healthier. And then that's it. That's it. No more, no less. And I already know what I need to know. And then, as far as voting's concerned. So then I plug in the different things also during the day. You know, I want to watch positive videos, feed myself positive things, watch documentaries, movies, listen to some nice music, go outside. I like to watch birds, feed birds and squirrels, nature, right? I like to, well, I'm making a video right now, right? So that's something I see some value in for myself. So find other things to plug into during the political season. Don't be freaking glued to the TV. Don't be on Facebook scrolling so you can try to one-up somebody in the comment section when nobody honestly gives a shit at the end of the day. They're not changing their mind. And then you just wasted an hour on a thread arguing about how your candidate is superior to the other ones, and you're making your moral arguments for everything. So I think you get the idea. I'm going to put some links below in this video to the differences between the peripheral route and central routes to persuasion. I have 2 videos on it. I'll link them below. You can click on them as far as like marketing, advertisement, and other things. So whether you're going to vote for Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, or whoever, that's up to you. I respect and appreciate everyone's rights to make their own decisions, and it'll be made as a function of your awareness of yourself, your ego, which is your idea of who you think you are, in contrast to everything in this world, your feelings that you get, how you grew up, your culture, and how you interpret the world around you. So it's a mixed bag and why people are going to make their decisions. But once the election season's over, as it's said often and a lot, I hope people just focus on what's in front of them every day. What are the options available to you? What do you actually control? And within whatever system we have, whoever's the president of the United States, you can still promote the values you represent and how you want to live by within your personal life. Not everything has to happen through the government system. Not all issues necessarily. Some are more affected than others, I understand. But as far as your circles of life, how you're going to treat people, do you want to be positive or negative, Debbie Downer, right? Doom and gloom, or, you know, gratitude. Very powerful antidote in the world, right? Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Love your neighbors. You want to love as you would want to be loved yourself. The golden rule. The golden rule. So, anyways, I hope everybody has a good week. My name's James Hunter, and I went a little bit of a rant all over the place today, perhaps. If you like videos about physical health, mental health, existential issues, other social issues, I'd appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel, like the video, share, and have a good day. Thank you.